Okay, morning everyone. Welcome to the briefing on Saturday the 3rd of September. You can see from the chart, I've been watching this in the last couple of days, how this low pressure that's developing out to the west of us is both going to develop and track over the next few days. And what we've got at the moment is beginning to sort of develop itself, and we've got fronts going around it. But to its east, where we are at Lasham, the wind's quite light and the fronts are not really coming towards us. I mean, this one here is going to sit over Devon and Cornwall for most of the day and pound them with plenty of rain by the looks of it, but not sort of progress much further to the east for the remainder of the day. That's not to say it won't feed in some showers into here. There's certainly the risk of instability and showers in the afternoon, as is shown up in the forecast, but plenty of spacing between the isobars, so the winds will be quite light for most of the day, as you'll see. So over the next 24 hours, this low pressure starts to deepen, moves position a little bit, so it's gone down to 984, and then by Monday it's beginning to track back towards us. So the winds are picking up, I think, certainly in the west of England by Sunday, and for the rest of the country by Monday, and into Tuesday it'll get fairly windy, but it's not really going very far. Why is it not going very far? Well, it's the position of the jet stream, and that drives the low pressures, but it's just the jet stream is essentially down here where the strong winds are, and it's not driving it across us. So it's just sitting there developing and feeding in weather systems. Task for today, well, Farnborough's longer than normal, so 172 knots, yeah, light southerly, southwesterly. Other forecasts showing a little bit more southwesterly in it. So 4,500 feet, yeah, I think that really is actually showing up on the forecast. Certainly Lasham and to the east, looks like it's going to be clear for most of the day. The further west you go, the thicker the cloud, and the more chance of the cloud base going down. So no significant weather. A tempo prop 30 of showers and rain anytime between 11 and 4 o'clock this afternoon. One or two very, very small showers just drifting through at the moment. Gatwick's forecast, which obviously runs a little bit further into tomorrow, still shows no real change in the weather. The main frontal systems haven't really got to us. Upper winds, winds at flying heights, well, down in the channel, southwesterly, 15 to 20 knots, and I think over us it'll probably be about 200 degrees, 15 knots, a little bit more sort of southeasterly or slightly southeasterly in the middle of the country, and about 15 knots. A lot windier out to the far southwest, and you can see the upper winds are fairly strong. They're 70, 80 knots over Ireland, but quite light over us. Okay, so SatPic just shows out to the west a lot of cloud over the sort of Lasham and southeast area, quite clear. Nothing really to the south, bits of mid-upper level cloud, but nothing too dramatic over us. Say the further west you go, the thicker the cloud gets, and eventually you're gonna meet the rain over Devon and Cornwall, and you can see the odd shower just drifting up through here. Be unlucky at Lasham to catch a shower, I think, during the day, but it gives you the general drift as well of the upper winds, which are southwesterly. Temperature wise, got the temperature wrong yesterday in places, because it went up quite a bit further than thought it was going to do, but 21 degrees today. BBC is suggesting the same. That seems about right. It got to 27 degrees in East Anglia yesterday, which I wasn't quite expecting, but warmer there, as it often is when a southwesterly. The air dries out, and it does tend to be better in East Anglia in these sort of conditions. Dew points, they're fairly high at the moment. 14s, 15s, I think for the day will be about right. So there's a sort of 7, maybe 8 degree dew point split, I think, in the mid-afternoon, which certainly gives a chance of some soaring. Not sure where they're getting the few at 4,500 feet for Farnborough. I'm seeing more like about 3,000 feet at best above Lasham. I think by early afternoon, if you look at it there, where the cloud starts to form, at about 3,000 feet above ground. And then this afternoon, nothing really changing too much. Cloud base remain the same, but SkySight and Top Meteo are suggesting that sort of figure. But they're also showing on the ascents quite a lot of upper cloud where the lines come together. So suggesting the cloud amounts, mid-level to upper level cloud, starts to increase during the day. So Top Meteo, I think this is right, sort of 9-10 o'clock. We've still got low cloud breaking up and turning into some cumulus as the day goes on, but sort of suggesting a lot of spread out in here, and a similar sort of picture. Gut feeling is that it's sort of the cloud amounts dry out as the afternoon goes on in a southwesterly, and it tends to sort of not blue out necessarily, but reduce quite considerably from the south as the influence of any sea air takes effect. So by the afternoon, they're showing far less cumulus, and the front system sat out still over Devon and Cornwall, not really progressed any further to the east. Thermals, well, let's look at from sort of midday onwards, talking about soaring, 1,000 meters, 3,000 feet, which is what we thought on the ascents. And then even by 2-3 o'clock, only going up to 1,300 meters. So 3,500 feet, maybe a little bit more. Suggested flight distance from Top Meteo is this. It can always be a little bit optimistic in a southwesterly. It doesn't take into account sort of local conditions, and we know it can be not quite so good at Lasham and to the south, and as you go further north, it gets better. It looks quite nice in East Anglia and that sort of area towards Cambridge. SkySight showing by sort of 1 o'clock, depth of thermals going up to above ground. Um, 700 meters, and then by sort of the afternoon, around the Lasham area, 9 to 1,100 meters, so just above 3,000 feet. Cloud base, suggesting again about 1,100 meters, so 3,500 feet. And over development, they are showing elements of over development. It's saying 50% chance of spread out. I think that's probably about right. And cloud cover, lower levels and upper levels here. Certainly some cloud cover, and pretty solid from anywhere west of Yeovil, really, I suspect. Thermal strengths. Reasonable, I would have thought. Only 2 to 3 knots. That's just in 1.25 meters a second. Yeah, 2 knots, 3 knots maybe. And none of the top Meteo or SkySight models show any rain within this forecast. So should be okay. Certainly, definitely flyable, local soarable from midday onwards, and maybe it turns out better than we think. A short cross country for 100, 200k. But it's always a bit challenging in the southerly winds at Lasham. Okay, so airspace wise, quite congested on the map, but there's nothing really too restrictive in there. What isn't NOTAM'd, I mean, it may be that this program hasn't picked up a NOTAM, but Popham have the call it the LAA rally, grassroots fly in, they're calling it. I was there yesterday, and there must have been probably 100, 150 aeroplanes in and buzzing around. The circuit was busy all the time, and it is pretty active. So yeah, Popham have this LAA rally. I would suggest you avoid if you, worst case scenario, had to land. Try and fit in. You definitely need to call them on the radio and fit in with the circuit traffic. But it is pretty busy, and it was busy all day. Further afield, don't need to worry about anything here. Just 35 is just notifying that the gliding club at Middle Walloper winch launching. Up through here, that's tucked under the airspace 47. There was a fly past at Wallingford this afternoon at 2 o'clock to 2:45. Number 50 is Thetford's map. ATZ has been activated, parachuting within the Bryce zone here. Restricted airspace. The only two the Bournemouth Air Show, the Reds are displaying this afternoon, and up at Leicester there's also restricted airspace for the day, because they had a display up there, but the rest are just sort of fly past. Nothing really to worry about. Jet movements, unfortunately, normally it's quiet at the weekends, but that's unfortunately not the case. So today, an A319, its flight plan is filed for a departure from Keflavik in Iceland at 11 o'clock this morning. So that's going to be in at about 1 o'clock, probably. It's about a 2-hour hop from Iceland as an inbound, and an outbound PA31 Navajo somewhere around 13:30 is the current flight plan for that. But they all might change. So there's 2 planned movements today. It'll obviously operationally have some impact, but hopefully minimal, depending on how it's set up. Merv Saunders is running the field today. My gut feeling, depend on local wind, but I would have thought 2-3 would be an option today for launching. And hopefully nice pleasant day, another flyable day, although the wind picking up, and tomorrow flyable again, but breezy. Okay folks, so have fun.